Welcome back to The Sage, and thank you so much for remaining with us. My very first guest on The Sage gives me a great deal of pleasure. It's a guest that is not a stranger to The Sage. Indeed, he's featured before in a slightly different capacity. And yet, as I was thinking about people to ask, distinguished people to ask, to come discuss with us, I thought he fitted that category to perfection. And he's a remarkable young man, and therefore in every way qualifies to come here and sit here and tell us what has driven him and why he's so committed to this concept of a wonderful Nigeria, a great Nigeria. I have on set with me today no other than Dike Chukwumerije. Dike, you're welcome to The Sage.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be back on this side. Thank you for having me.
Can you move a step further?
Yes.
I mean, how did you now evolve into somebody? So it's not just about bonhomie, happily getting on with people. How did it translate to patriotism, to a love and a belief in a Nigeria, and a great one at that?
I'm one of those who I'm very acutely aware of how much I owe this country. You see, an education is the greatest thing that you can give to a person, a solid education. And Nigeria gave me an education almost for free. An education that allows me today to stand shoulder to shoulder with anybody from anywhere in the world. I went to a federal government college, King's College in Lagos. I went to the University of Abuja. My parents didn't pay much compared to what we have to pay today to send our children to private schools. And in these institutions, my mind was shaped, and I was given the gift of free and independent thought. I'm one of those people that are very proud of my Nigerian education. I remember in my JS1, it was my drama teacher, Ms. Ngurube, that helped me discover the fact that I had a flair for the dramatic and for writing what today I recognize as performance poetry or stage poetry. As a 10-year-old in King's College, she helped me discover that. And so many other teachers through the years that exposed me to this thing. So I owe that to my country. I owe the fact that I have this confident, can-do spirit as a Black person. I don't come into the world community with a chip on my shoulder. I'm very proud of my Africanness. Nigerians are one of the few African nationalities that are not easily intimidated by the white skin or the Western.
Absolutely.
We come with that confidence. We can be respectful, but the moment we sense disrespect on the ground of race, we react to it very strongly because it goes against our grain as Nigerians. It's a confidence that this country, that came out of this. And these are things that are very strong components of my character today. So I come with gratitude and a recognition that I'm this powerful because of where I'm coming from. But in terms of consciously recognizing that, look, I love my country, it's a combination of a natural, organic thing that comes out of all these experiences I've talked about. As a youth, my early 20s, I traveled. I'm an Igbo boy born in Lagos, who every Christmas would go home, would make that long journey from Lagos across the Niger Bridge to the village. And you absorb the journeys, the stories along that journey. In my late teens, I came to the north. I moved to Abuja and became exposed to this path that as a Southerner, I had never known. And I also began to travel. I would go from Abuja to Jos to Kaduna. My best friend in university was from southern Kaduna. I'll go visit him. And all these journeys, you begin to be exposed to the geography of this land. You see how it changes from the tropical rainforest in my village, where you wake up in the morning and you see the palm trees. And then you see the rocks in the southwest. You see the plains in the middle belt. You see the desert conditions. By the time I got to places like Maiduguri. And being somebody who loves nature and appreciates it, I began to fall in love with the geography of my nation and with the people and with the language. So there's that natural sentimental connection that I have with my motherland. But then on top of that, I started realizing that, look, I spent 4 years in the UK. So a bit like your experience, when you go out there and you really realize that I have nowhere else that is truly home, apart from where I'm coming from. And this country I have come to with its clean streets and will never really accept me as an equal. It might take 3-4 generations. My children and my children's children will have to struggle for equality here. But the people of this country, their own young people in generations past, had nowhere to go. So they stayed and they struggled and built this country into a place where I want to come to now. But who is doing this for my own country? If I'm here struggling for equality, struggling to make this country even better than it is, who is doing it for my country? And I realized that Nigeria was like an orphan, and there was nobody really taking care of Nigeria. There were people taking care of Ndi Igbo. There were people who are passionate about Hausa, Yoruba, but Nigeria was an orphan. There was nobody that said, I will care for you like you are my own mother or you are my own parent. And I felt responsible. I felt like I belonged to a generation that could truly say that you are my mother. You know, I can understand if the generations past cannot say it in all honesty or struggle to say it in all honesty, having been shaped in sort of a different climate. But for me...
Dike, let me stop you there and say that while agreeing with many of the things you've said and they resonate with me, let me just say, again, as that older generation you're talking about, that actually no, the things that are spurring you on now are the things that moved us in our day. I can assure you that people like our nationalists, the first ones, Obafemi Awolowo, Nnamdi Azikiwe, and so on and so forth, were actually echoing those very sentiments. You go back to those roots. They saw a great Nigeria. They saw a one Nigeria. They fought for independence, believing in that potential. And many of us who are parents now for you enjoyed exactly what you said. And that is something Nigerians need to begin to look back, understand, and appreciate. This country gifted us with the best education possible. Yes, I talked about going to represent this country abroad, but because of the education I got here and won a national essay competition because the schools were good.
Yeah.
We benefited from that tutoring. And a young teenager found that when she got to the US, could stand head and shoulders and even above my contemporaries from 30 other countries in the world. Nigeria gifted us. I think somewhere along the line, something got missing.
Yeah.
And something that is affecting a lot of our young people today.
Yeah.
Something got missing. We forgot to see the beauty of Nigeria, the good of Nigeria. You've described beauty in terms of landscapes and so on, so poetically, so beautifully, and it is true, but also to be appreciative of the gifts of this great country. is something that we have a long way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I think along the line, we became disillusioned with the state, with the government, and began to conflate the two, the nation and the state. And they are two different things. The nation is different from the state. But people conflate it, and the frustration they feel with an inefficient, a corrupt, a bureaucratic, nepotistic, tribalistic state, they take it out on the nation. And one of the greatest evolutions I had was to separate the two, to realize that Nigeria is not the same as the head of state, the minister, that I can see my country separate from the government apparatus and appreciate it.
See my country separate,
yes,
from the government and leadership that may not be right.
Yeah.
They do not form the country.
They do not.
We, the totality of citizens, form
the country. I have as much right. I have as much right to define Nigeria as the head of state has. He doesn't have more right than he's a citizen just like I am. So somebody that is defining Nigeria can define it by me, not just how the head of state behaves, but how about me? How about the hundreds of millions of Nigerians who get up every day, put their head down, do what they're supposed to do, take care of their children, look after their neighbors, who don't act in a tribalistic way, but whose voices, whose stories are lost because the other stories are more sensational. What gives them or politicians, what gives them more leverage in terms of defining what a nation is? I don't even believe that it is the calling of politicians to define a nation. I believe that it is the calling of citizens, that it is the people who define a nation, not their politicians, particularly the artists, because a nation is a story. It's a narrative.
A nation is a story.
It's a story
that will continually be written.
Past,
it's not cast in stone.
It's not cast in stone.
It changes.
It changes.
With evolution
yes.
and with time.
It's how you tell the story, of Nigeria. You can choose to start in 1914. You can choose to start, because to me, Nigeria is older than that. You can choose to say, some white man came from Britain and just coupled us together. Or you can choose to see it as a destiny, a nation that was fated to happen. And this man just happened to be the channel through which it happened, because God moves in mysterious ways. But a nation was destined, a great nation was destined to arise here at the confluence of the Niger and the Benue. It's written in stone. It just happened to be that historical reality expressed itself through Lugard. So a nation is how you tell that story. You understand? It's how you tell it. And
I will, again, button here, because we're going to have to take a break and re-emphasize these your last words. A nation is how you tell the story. Nigeria is how we tell the story. It is positive, and we need to see it is positive and tell a positive story, because that is the only way our story becomes a living day-to-day reality. There are millions of us. We define the country. Nobody else can. And I will button personally and say that I actually believe we were predestined to be. I agree with you.
Yeah.
We were not. Nigeria is not an accident of nature.
No.
Nigeria, and it came out in my call of action, in which I said that I believed that the day the good Lord created this country, he was in an extremely good mood. And so he blessed it with abundant resources. What we are not capitalizing on which is our diversity, is actually a huge potential
Absolutely.
for progress.
Absolutely.
It is an opportunity.
Absolutely.
So no, the colonial masters, if we may still use that term, were just part of nature, an accident of nature that helped to make this great country, into what it is today. But it is for us, those of us who are this country, to ensure that our reality, our positive reality, comes into being and that the vast majority of us live it.
Absolutely.
Stay with us. We'll be back next week as we continue this amazing discussion with Dike and actually then move on to discussing how do we manifest, how do we make the positive reality that is ours, particularly at this time in our history, how do we come together to make it possible? Dike, thank you once again. Be patient with us and be with us next week as we continue this discussion. Thank you to our audience. See you next week. Don't go away. Thank you.
We must come together, work for peace, work to uphold our unity, show strength, show faith, one and all. Oh, come, cast aside ethnic rivalry, cast aside religious bigotry, show strength, show faith, one and all. Let's sing a song, let's sing a song. A song of love is all we need. Work for peace, let's fight for peace, one and all. We must work for peace. Together, break the chains of greed and hate. Work for peace in place of war. Show strength, show faith, one and all. Oh, come. Every tribe, every tongue be on guard. Stay strong, together we'll defeat. Show strength, show faith, one and all. Let's sing a song, let's sing a song of humanity, great humanity. Let's kill the walls, let's kill the walls. We must fight, we must fight, fight, fight. We must fight for peace. But we must work, work, work. We must work, work, work. We must work, work, work. We must work for peace. Yeah.
it is a God-given duty and call for us jointly, collectively, to make today and tomorrow good for us and for our future generations. This is a call to action. We begin today. We work together. We fight whatever evils exists that is trying to stop us from being where we should be. Let us work together. Let us come together. Let us give our country, Nigeria, its rightful place in the world and in history. Join us in this call. Join us in this walk. I thank you.